The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't care.
The BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report, Part 2 of the Monday Extravaganza podcast. If you missed Part 1, we broke down Week 6 of the NFL season with Cousin Sal, and then we guessed the Week 7 lines. Now, as promised, Part 2, we're calling my buddy JackO, a diehard Yankee fan, to get his take on Derek Jeter's season-ending injury, as well as the Yankees' chances heading into these last 5 games against the Tigers. We've been calling him for 5.5 years in the BS Report. Never during tragic circumstances like this. Not even when Rivera went down, I don't think JackO was probably this upset.
Complex Litigation, this is John.
Oh, Johnny.
Oh, Willie.
Oh, Johnny.
Boy. This is a lot less pleasant than my last podcast.
And you couldn't even call in sick. You couldn't even call in sick to work on Monday because you called in sick the other day. You couldn't have done it twice. You're just sitting there like a zombie at your desk, I bet.
Pretty much, yes, indeed. I'm feeling a little better, so that's good news, up off my sick bed. So, yeah, that's got to be positive. I have my health, That's what you turn to at things at times like these.
Walk me through Saturday night. Ibanez comes up.
Well, actually, I didn't see much of Saturday night's game because I was mercifully at a party, and I saw the first couple of innings because I went to a pre-party party, and we had the TV on there. A bunch of us were watching the game.
Who are you, Tom Cruise?
Yeah, I'm a social high roller. That's how I roll. So we were pre-gaming the actual party we were all going to at another friend's house, and we had the TV on. Yankees load the bases, and Cano hits one off the pitcher, and it gets called out at first. And typical Yankees couldn't get a big hit there. He did hit the ball hard, but they just aren't dropping in this year. So that was troubling. And they had a history against Baltimore of providing no offense whatsoever, except for Game 1, where they had 7 runs, and after that it was like impossible to get a big hit. So I'm like, here we go, more of the same. And then I was following the game on my phone. And as were a bunch of us, and they loaded the bases again and got nothing, and so I basically locked out. And I'm like, let's stop paying attention. And so it was. Last I knew, it was 2-0, and then my buddy looked at his phone, and he's like, the Yankees just scored 4 in the bottom of the 9th to tie it up. And I'm like, one. I'm like, whoa, they were losing 4-0, and then they tied it up, and I'm like, well, this is good. The bats have come alive. Like, here we go. All's going to be well with the world. And I'm like, let's go back to not watching because that seems to be working. So continued on with the party, and then my wife and I went to drive home, and I put the radio on, and I heard the dulcet tones of John Sterling saying, well, the Yankees want to limit the damage here to just 1 run. And I'm like, oh, my God, here we go. So then I was disgusted and turned it off, and then I got home and was plugging my phone in, and I saw the crawl on the ESPN thing on my phone, and I looked at the score, and it said Derek Jeter was carried off the field. Just couldn't believe it.
Wow,
couldn't believe it.
It sounds like he was carried off the field because of your negligence as a Yankee fan.
It may well have been, but my frustration level with the Yankees had really been pretty high at that point. And I mean, it's one thing if your pitchers just don't have it, and you're playing a superior team, and you tip your cap to them. But when you're facing the Doug Fisters and the Anibal Sanchez's of the world, I mean, they're not facing Bob Gibson in the '60s here,
Right.
And just. It's the same movie I've seen so many postseasons now since 2000, where they just have an inability to get a hit in a big situation. And it turns out that 2009, instead of getting that monkey off their back, turns out to just be an anomaly in an otherwise horrible stretch of just absolutely no clutch hitting. And I mean, it's literally gotten to the point where I honest to God, I cannot watch Curtis Granderson's at-bats. Because it's 0-2 before you blink your eye. The pitcher throws one in the dirt, and he swings a bat literally like someone who has never seen a baseball game before. Not only hasn't played, but literally never watched baseball. He's just lost. He's completely lost.
He got off the schneid on Saturday night, though.
Well, he hit a home, in Game 5 against Baltimore, he hit a home run, and I'm like, well, here we go. Maybe he snapped out of it,
game. That's what it was. Friday night, yeah.
Maybe he flipped the switch, and then they're facing the Tigers. He's terrible again. I mean, he's just terrible. And it's, as I say, if they were facing good pitching, it would be one thing. But when you can't even get a hit on Joe, you can barely get a hit against Joe Saunders and Doug Fister. I mean, come on.
We did a podcast on Thursday where we were talking about A-Rod, and that night was Game 4 against Baltimore.
Yeah.
Where Girardi didn't pinch hit for A-Rod in the 8th.
Right.
But then decided to do it in the 12th, which was a little weird.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to come back to haunt him, and then he did the right thing the next day, just benched him. And then all of a sudden A-Rod was back for the next series.
Well, I mean, I think they were hoping that it would be a wake-up call for him, and there was I saw the pregame before the ALCS. In 1977, Billy Martin got mad at Reggie Jackson in the ALCS because I think he ignored a bunt sign and swung away and popped up, and Billy Martin hated Reggie Jackson anyway, so he was in a terrible slump, and he sat him down, and then he played him in the World Series, and of course he has a phenomenal World Series, the 3 home runs on 3 pitches, the whole 9 yards. So They were making an analogy, well, maybe A-Rod this will spur him on like it did Reggie, and he'll be Mr. October, but Dennis Green, A-Rod is what we thought he was. He can't hit in the clutch. He's old. He can't catch up to fastballs. I mean, he's just lost. If I see him strike out and then look incredulously with a half shake of his head and a smirk, like, wow, what was that? That was an 88-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle, A-Rod, that you missed. I mean, you just can't watch it. And Cano, I mean, I love Robbie Cano. Guy's a great hitter. He's red hot at the end of the year. He put the team on his back to win the East basically on his own. And now he gets in the playoffs, and I got a tweet the other day, and I saw it on online today where he set some record for going 0 for 26 in the postseason. For history. All right. I mean, You can't make it up. It's terrible.
Yeah. I can't say I feel bad for you.
No, I wouldn't if the shoe was on the other foot either.
You'd be so happy right now.
Oh,
although I don't think you would have been happy if the Red Sox equivalent of Jeter broke his ankle.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't have been. As much as I dislike Pedroia or anybody else, you don't ever want to see that.
You probably would have been a little happy for Pedroia.
A little bit. I'm not going to lie.
I said this to Sal before about it's been a weird season for me as a Red Sox fan because I hate the Yankees, obviously.
Right.
I always want terrible things to happen to them, but Rivera getting hurt, Jeter getting hurt, I actually was like,
Yeah,
I just want them to lose and be a bad team. I didn't want their, Jeter and Rivera. I respect those guys.
No, I think Red Sox fans respect Jeter. I mean, I got a lot of
totally
about I'm a Red Sox fan, but I like Jeter, and you can't help but respect him. And
I love that he wouldn't be carried off.
Yeah, I did like that. He tried to get off on his own power. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a weird. I watched that replay a bunch of different ways, and I can't figure out how he fractured his ankle. It's almost like his body structurally just broke down.
Well,
I think Girardi
had a good point. He hurt his ankle years ago, so he had an injury there. So it may be a little bit weak structurally. I'm not a doctor or an orthopedic.
That's what I mean. His body was so beaten up that it was just finally just gave out. But that certainly didn't seem like a play where he'd break your ankle.
No, it didn't. And you worry about him. I mean, he's always had pretty good resilience coming back from injuries. But the guy's 38 years old. You don't bounce back as quickly, and you worry about him even for next year. Hopefully, there's no lingering effects. And
And for the record, because I got some emails and tweets about this, Derek Jeter is not a Ewing theory candidate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just people are like, oh, there's some Ewing theory potential. It's like, nah, there really isn't.
No.
They won 4 World Series with Derek Jeter. He's not eligible. Just like the Cardinals are not eligible with Albert Pujols, who they won 2 World Series with.
Right.
I do think, though, there is the potential for some sort of new theory that hasn't even been created yet, where if you lose the 2 most iconic players in your franchise in the same season, 2 of the most iconic guys you've had, in the history of your franchise, and And if they won the World Series, despite not having those guys, there might be a new theory that could be created from that. It wouldn't be the Ewing theory. I don't know what it would be called.
Losing two very good players hurts you. I think that theory's been around for a while.
No, losing two iconic players. But then winning the World Series anyway, I think.
Oh, if they won it anyway.
Yeah, if they won it anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, we don't have to worry about that. That theory's not going to be created. No.
I'd like to congratulate myself for waiting a full 10 hours to send you a text about the Jeter thing.
It's amazing restraint. Very good.
Here's the text. It was Nix, Robertson, Kuroda, and Granderson. The new core four.
Yes.
I was proud of that one.
It's a good one, yeah. You should have included Swisher in there. My least favorite Yankee ever now, I think.
Oh, come on. He's so good in the clubhouse.
Oh, my God. I hope he's good in some other clubhouse, preferably in, North Korea.
Well, I'm sure it made you happy to hear that the Red Sox, there were reports the Red Sox are considering trading Jacoby Ellsbury straight up for Derek Holland.
Really?
Yeah. I can't imagine that's the real trade. I'm sure the Rangers have to throw in prospects, but yeah, that became a story yesterday. All my Red Sox friends were freaking out.
Oh, that's fantastic. I thought you were going to say that the Red Sox were going to make Nick Swisher their number one off-season priority. That was going to make me extremely happy. I can't.
Oh, that might be happening too, Johnny. Don't think that.
I can't wait.
Couldn't you see us overpaying for him and claiming that it was because we wanted to change the culture of the clubhouse?
Yeah, that he's the new Millar and he's going to be great. Yeah, I can't wait till he's out of New York. I despise him.
I was on an email chain.
Postseason, mugging for the cameras and all his shtick is not quite so good when you're 4 for 36 or whatever ungodly numbers. I think they're even worse than that. I mean, they're getting 4 guys in the lineup that they count on are killing him. And I have to give credit where credit is due. Mr. Mom, Teixeira, he's not had any text messages, but he is getting on base and he is getting hits. So for once, I can't kill Teixeira.
My friend Gabe Roth on this email chain about trying to break down why the Red Sox would trade Ellsbury for Holland. It's straight up, which just can't be true. But Gabe Roth said Holland gave up 32 home runs this year. Most of the homers he lets up are to left field.
Perfect.
So that'd be good.
Monster seats, yeah.
That'd be good.
Awesome.
I actually like Holland. I've had him on my team the last 2 years, and I have a soft spot for him, even though he got shellacked this season. But
why would
anyway.
Can't they get more for Ellsbury than that, even if he is?
You know why they would trade Ellsbury? If you're trying to sell the effing team.
Yeah.
And you're cutting down all your costs, and you also own a soccer team that you're also cutting costs for, and yet when the story finally broke that they were thinking of selling the team, the owner is like, oh, no, we're not thinking of selling the team. Really, you're not? Why are you cutting all your costs then?
Right. Doesn't make sense.
I think they're going to flip it. It's been 10 years.
Well, maybe the new owner might be interested in getting A-Rod at long last. He was supposed to be a Red Sox for a while. I think he'd look good there, too. A-Rod and Swisher.
I can't think of a worse move for the Red Sox. I can't think of a move that would go over worse.
Come on. You got money to burn. You got to put some fans in the seats.
You know, the irony is if we still had Crawford, that could have been a possibility. The Crawford for A-Rod straight up.
I mean, the Yankees, it's just been so just depressing. I mean, it just came out of nowhere. I never thought the offense was going to be an issue. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I suppose I did because I'd seen it so many times in the postseason. But I thought this year was going to be different because they had bench guys like Ibanez, who has been great, obviously, and Chavez. And, if guys weren't performing, they could put other pieces in there. But it's just been the same hideous, awful slog that it has been for 10 years now. And I know, fans of other fans of other teams are going to be like, "Cry me a river." You're in the postseason every year, boo-hoo for you, and you got a huge payroll. I'm not asking anybody to feel sorry for me, but I can still lament the crushing lack of clutchness that's going on. It's just brutal.
Well, so
and
you
the stadium has empty seats, which is a disgrace. I mean, people were on Twitter yesterday saying to me, you make fun of the Red Sox streak, but how about the Yankees still having tickets for an ALCS game? It's a ridiculous outrage. They have a soulless stadium. It sounds flat as a pancake and it's dead.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like a wealthy corporate stiff, and they're not like the true blue collar fan that's going to scream his lungs out. And it sounds dead. The seats are empty, and it's a soulless stadium for a soulless team. It's not good.
Wow, Johnny, I can't wait to replay this after the Yankees win the 2012 World Series.
Yeah, don't worry. And they're looking at 5 more years of A-Rod's contract, which is literally.
Oh, that's a sunk cost. I mean, you probably just waive him, right?
Please God, yes. I wish they would do it today before tomorrow's game.
the weird thing about that contract was it was a terrible idea when it happened. The reaction when it happened was in general like people were confused.
Right.
Just didn't seem.
I think it was the last gasp of the boss, like, wanting to keep, because he's, had this superstar mentality of wanting to have superstars. So, and I mean, if he was alive today, the hitting coach would have already been fired. He would have had like so many vitriolic press releases. That would have at least been entertaining. He probably would have made A-Rod cry through the newspaper if possible.
Yeah, 1979, George Steinbrenner would not have handled A-Rod well the last couple months. It would have been awesome.
It really would have been great. He would have called these guys out left and right. It would have been ridiculous. I'm not sure what help matters, but at least it would have been, a good venting for the fans.
So Verlander is Game 3.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to turn out well.
I wish I could wish I knew somebody in Vegas. Can you bet on whether there'll be a perfect game or not? I'd like to put some action on that.
Verlander pitched one of the better I got this games in a long time.
Oh yeah, so did CeCe.
It's a
by the
great
way, in
one.
Game 5. Right?
Yeah, CeCe did too.
But I know Verlander is. I mean, he's been lights out. And I'm saying how the Yankees aren't facing Bob Gibson and Cy Young, but the Tigers do have some ridiculous ERA now of like .95 or something. So.
And the 9.5 is Valverde.
Well, yeah, exactly. No, I'm talking about their starters, but their starters are like .95,
yeah.
.095 or something. So it's like a ridiculously low ERA. So maybe it's like a hot goalie in hockey. They're like riding the hot hands, getting hot hands at the right time. But
you know what the move is? The move is to bet the NL team to win the World Series right now, because there's just no way you should be able to win a World Series with that Detroit bullpen.
Right.
It's an impossibility. So even if they get by the Yankees, which who knows? I mean, it seems pretty likely, especially with Verlander pitching. But I mean, really, you're going to win that? Phil Koch is going to be the one jumping into the catcher's arms? Like, that's not going to happen.
No, I wouldn't think so. And the Cardinals barely got into the playoffs, and then they did what they did to the Nats, and then they won again last night. So it's like, the Cardinals just do it year in and year out. Nobody understands how they do it, but they somehow manage to do it. So
the Cardinals odds are plus 175.
Yeah.
The Giants are plus 600, and the Yankees are plus 1,200. Detroit is basically even, minus 110.
Really? To win the World Series?
Yeah.
Not to get to win it, yeah.
I wish we could bet against that somehow. But
I wish Bud Selig. I wish David Stern ran baseball, because obviously baseball with the ratings, they want the Yankees in there. So Stern would make it happen. He would have had Donahue come out of retirement.
People have made this point, but this was a disaster how it worked out for baseball.
Oh,
they had such a great round one, and they were so close to having like the best collection of teams. Like even the Cardinals beating the Nats was like such a death blow.
Because the Nats were such a feel-good story.
And Bryce Harper. And then if Oakland had snuck in there, that was a really fun story. Although I guess you could say having Cabrera and Verlander and Prince Fielder is not a terrible thing.
Yeah, I mean, they do have stars. I was going to, when the Yankees lost yesterday, I was going to make our typical joke where we talk about, like, the Verlander, but Verlander really is like a big name.
He is.
Like,
they have three of the biggest.
Pfister,
right.
Vogelsang, the World Series on Fox,
Oakland would have been the best one. Oakland and the Cardinals. Freeze! Crisp!
Right, but Detroit, like with Cabrera winning the Triple Crown, he's like a known quantity, and people know Prince Fielder and Verlander, obviously. So, but I don't think Detroit has a following outside of Detroit, so they're not like a nationally known team. And the Cardinals are there every year, and people are rabid about them in St. Louis, but I'm not sure they might have a little bit of a national following, but not like to the degree that the Yankees do, certainly.
Well, I think the general perception nationally now is like the Cardinals are like Michael Myers now. Yeah, you can't kill him. But two of the greatest comebacks of the past 50 years. Yeah, and I mean, they don't even have La Russa there anymore, and they don't have Pujols. It's really incredible. I really believe, I think that the Nationals collapse, I'd have to look at whatever the top 10 worst collapse were. Oh, yeah. The Nationals might have been the number 2 collapse ever, and you could even argue like that the fact that, I'm just saying like the combination of being at home, which usually these teams collapse, they're on the road, right? Right. To do that at home, and then to have like all the times they had 2 outs, 2 strikes, all these different things. The way the closer just couldn't just kept putting guys on base. Then the grounder that the shortstop, he goes to field it, he knocks it into the outfield.
I know.
That was as
one.
bad as it gets. I really thought the Texas one last year was really bad, but at the same time, that was you didn't have a great feeling about it with the pitchers that they had on the mound.
Right.
And I think anybody who's watching that game thinking this is over. The Washington game, the 6-0, followed by the 9th inning collapse, and just how silent it got. Barnwell wrote a really good piece about it for us today.
When they went up 6-0, it was get the party started. Everybody was already cracking open the champagne, and they figured it was over. When I went to bed, it was 6-3, and then I woke up. I was shocked that St. Louis had won. I just couldn't believe it.
Hey, can you write a piece for Grantland called "How I Slept Through One of the Best Sports Weekends Ever"? My time at parties and sleeping.
Much like Jeter, my body's breaking down too after too much time on the field. Yes.
My friend Hershey, diehard Dodger fan, was complaining about the National fans doing the jumping up and down thing with 2 outs.
Oh.
It was. I defended them. It was rookie mistakes. They'd never been there before.
You got to act like you've been there before, yeah.
They had never been there before. They didn't know.
In my defense, I was still recovering from a cold, and I had the emotional outpouring of the Yankees Game 5 victory. That took a lot out of me. Then to sit up and watch the whole game for teams that I really, except for Joe House, I really had no rooting interest in. So, and I thought it was a comfortable lead. I was like, who knew?
I just realized we should probably call Joe House.
Yes.
Let's do that
Make
now.
Sure he's all right.
We're going to call you
afterwards, so I know he's okay.
He sent me some inflammatory Drew Storen tweets.
Really?
He's not really happy with Drew's performance.
No.
I got the feeling from House's tweets that he might not want Drew to come back. The thing that House was mad about, though, is the Strasburg thing, which, of course, reared its ugly head the way everybody predicted because
of course.
I think they could have used him in the middle innings there.
Of course. They deserve to lose for that move.
Yeah,
that's the dumbest. Bad. That's the dumbest thing. It's like when Dan Marino went to the Super Bowl his first year, and then everybody assumed he would be back again. Well, he never went back again. The Nats don't know that they're ever going to be this good again and sniff the postseason. I don't want to be Herm Edwards, but you play to win the game. You play to win the game. You're in there. You have this guy. He's a great pitcher. You're not saving him to have a 10-year career down the line. You play to win the World Series. This could be your only chance. You can't sit him down.
Somebody sent me a great email about the Nationals are being overly cautious with Strasburg, worrying about some injury that hadn't even happened.
Exactly.
They're worrying about some false reality, which you can argue for or against that, whatever. Meanwhile, the Redskins, Griffin gets at least a mild concussion.
Right.
He doesn't know what the score was, and they throw him back out the next week.
In Game 6 of an NFL season, that they're not going to sniff the Super Bowl.
Right. Pretty interesting.
It's ridiculous. They deserve to lose just for that. No
JackO,
national fans, but
JackO, I'm sorry about Jeter.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sorry about anything else that's happening there.
And I'm not sorry when Nick Swisher is leading the 2013 Red Sox.
Him and Derek Holland. We're changing the clubhouse.
Nice. Good guys. You'll love his.
Good guys. We have better guys. We've changed the personality of this team.
And as I said on Twitter, the good thing for Swisher is if he signs with the Red Sox, he won't have to worry about failing in the postseason for many, many years. So
Johnny. It's an unprovoked pot shot.
Yeah, well, that's what you get.
Well,
you mess with the bull, you get the horns, or something. So.
Well, enjoy the new Core 4.
What's the name? We got to come up with a better name for that.
What's Nix's first name?
Jason.
Jason Nix? Who's he?
Yeah, Jason Nix is actually all right. If you're gonna throw a Core 4 at me, you could give me the Core 4 of Swisher, Granderson, A-Rod, and Cano. That's the new Core 4.
No, you need a pitcher in there. Kuroda's got to be in there.
Kuroda's good too. Their starting pitching's been great. The Core 4 of failure.
Johnny, we'll talk to you later in the week.
The Poor 4. Got that
Poor 4.
All right.
Talk to you later. All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, before we call House to get his take on the Nationals collapse, we have to listen to this brief message from one of our favorite sponsors.
Happy birthday, Berry, to you. It's the Subway Surprise Birthday Party. And to celebrate, Subway is baking up a fresh new cookie with real cranberries, blueberries, and sweet white chips. It's the new Birthday Berry cookie. Try it today and all September long. Subway. Eat fresh.
As promised, my buddy House at work, diehard Washington fan, ran the gamut of emotions this weekend. He does not know we're calling. We're surprise calling him. Let's give him a ring.
It's Joe House.
How you feeling? It's been 72 hours.
About what?
Your Nats.
What? Nats? What's that?
You want to talk about it?
I'm not ready.
You were there for all 3 games.
I was there for all 3 games. My voice is still mostly gone. My hands and my face are still, recovering from the effects of the cold. I don't know what happened, but and it wasn't even that cold, but I got kind of blasted. I mean, I was drinking alcohol as well, so maybe that was it. But
the alcohol kept you warm.
I'm still physically and emotionally recovering, although I will say yesterday's football game made it feel like it happened 10 years ago rather than 10 minutes ago.
Robert Griffin, healing.
The healer.
Washington sports.
The healing power. The healer.
The 76-yard touchdown run had to rank among the best Washington sports moments the last 20 years.
Wow. That's probably... It feels like an overstatement, but it was electrifying.
It was his announcement.
Yeah, and
it was his Springsteen releasing Born to Run. He was basically saying, "I'm Robert Griffin. Remember everything you liked about Michael Vick. I'm going to now take that to the next level. Watch this."
I hope that's true. I mean, the counter consideration, and I'm now in constant counter consideration mode after what happened Friday night.
I don't blame you.
Is he doesn't run out of bounds as quickly as he should, and he gets hit and he goes down, and it's always a concern with the running quarterbacks.
Yeah, especially somebody who's built like Jamal Charles.
But we're rooting for more of a Steve Bono kind of career than a Michael Vick kind of career.
Steve Bono? Couldn't you come up with a better one?
I mean,
Steve Bono. You ready for a Steve Bono career?
Super Bowl winner.
So, did you ever actually think the Nats at what point were you thinking about the next round?
No point. Somebody maybe
I
you.
texted you, but
during the game.
No, I just texted you Nats. I just said Nats with an exclamation point. You're up 6-0. I was excited.
Yes, okay.
That wasn't a jinx tweet.
I wrote back to saying, we're not anywhere near there yet.
Well, I was just letting you do your thing. I was letting you do your thing where you go, it's still got a long way to go.
I appreciate it.
I was being a good friend.
Thing. Yeah,
I was excited for you. It was 6-0.
It was good. It was exciting.
Unfortunately, the Cardinals are Michael Myers.
It was exciting until it wasn't exciting. I'm telling you couldn't even really enjoy it though. The Cardinals are so persistent, so relentless. So, and even, it was the bottom of the order guys that killed us all series long.
Yeah.
So.
JackO was on before you.
Oh,
he trumped you because Jeter fractured his ankle.
I saw that.
So, it did feel like the national fans, this is just a perception of TV, maybe you tell me differently. The fans seemed like they felt like they were going to win, which is never. I didn't feel like you were nervous enough until he started nibbling. Is that fair?
I'm not sure.
Rookie inexperience. The national fans never been in that spot.
Well, the first half of the game was exactly the right kind of jubilation that you would expect out of a team that's never been in the playoffs before.
Fully
the modern era, starting off 6-0. That was appropriate jubilation. But
it felt like when you're up when you had the 2 outs, it felt a little too happy. But that was just from what I was watching on TV. It was like, no, you guys, this guy, because I didn't trust that closer. You didn't trust him, right?
No. He's been great, but I'm going to say something that I'm going to soft say it because I don't want to get 5 million bad words written at me. But baseball, more than any other sport, feels to me like it's iterative. in this way, especially on the pitcher side, from the very first pitch in the whole series to the very last pitch in the whole series, it all builds on itself and feeds on itself. So if you're in a position where your pitching staff has a really good pitcher that isn't pitching, that has an impact on every other guy on the entire staff for the entire series. So, like, both Storen and Tyler Clippard had pitched the night before. They had an awesome performance the night before, 8 straight strikeouts that paved the way, made it possible for Jason Worth to hit that home run. But the price that you pay for those guys having to come out there in those situations, in those high-leverage situations, is that, there is some impact the next night. So Tyler Clippard gave up a home run to Descalso in the 8th inning. And, Bruce Storen came in and immediately gave up a double to Carlos Beltran. Like, that's the price, right? That's the price. That's what happens in baseball, in playoff baseball. And
well, you're talking. This is my microcosm theory. This is always my not a defense, but explanation for the '86 World Series and people who think that this was just, oh my God, it's so random that happened. Like, Schiraldi was our Achilles heel that whole year, was Bob Stanley and Schiraldi, and even though Schiraldi had a really good season statistically, he had blown an Angels game in the previous round. No Red Sox fan trusted him, and it was just, you're basically trying to get through each series without that rearing its ugly head. And in the Nationals case, the Strasburg thing was just lingering the whole year. And you knew you were going into this playoff series without him, and it was this decision that could, we've talked about it on the podcast a bunch of times, but it was interesting that you talk about the iterative thing. It was a microcosm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. I think, there's lots of good explanations and justifications and all the rest of it, but, at the end of the day, Gonzalez didn't have a great game. Jackson kind of stunk. Clippard and Storen had both pitched the night before in high leverage situations, and that stuff has a way of especially in playoff baseball, it just catches up to you. It always finds a way to catch up. Now, I mean, even Storen, he was hurt most of the year, so it's not like a trust versus distrust thing, but you just pay a price when all your best guys aren't going at full steam.
Yeah. It's hard. It just felt like the Nationals were probably better. And I admittedly did not watch every inning, but I know the Cardinals were so resilient, all that stuff. But man, you're up 6-0. That series should be over.
I went to the Carpenter game. Carpenter was pretty dominant. They were pretty evenly matched.
Good.
They were pretty evenly matched.
But you had it right. You're evenly matched, but you were at home. Like, that should have swung it.
I don't know.
Maybe does home field even matter now?
I don't think in baseball it matters that much.
Maybe it doesn't matter.
Yeah. This might be the note that we have to go out on, because I have a call at 3:00.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it?
I'd like to say more. I would really like to talk about the Black Jesus. That's not my name, by the way. That's Fred Davis that called RG3 that. But I'm going to use that.
Fred Davis called. Well, initially Earl Monroe was called Black Jesus, so you'd have to get Earl Monroe's permission.
Oh, I think, it's different era, different sport, different era. I think Earl would agree. Did Earl watch that run light yesterday?
Can we at least ask Earl?
I got to go.
See ya.
Bye.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at PodCenter at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.